Hey Colin, it's Froth. I wanted to compliment you. I just listened to your latest. I'm really enjoying the map discussion, and I feel like everybody can. Nobody's wrong. Everybody's personal preference is what it is. So it's what is interesting to me is to hear other people's opinions about why they like something and everything else. And so just wanted to compliment you. This has been a really interesting discussion. I'm not surprised you're getting a lot of call-ins about it, and just wanted to let you know I enjoyed it. So see ya.
Hello, I'm Colin Green, and you are listening to Spikepit, episode 120. Hey ho, let's go. The show must go on. Yep, it's episode 120, and I am struggling to talk, so I won't be making this a long one. And I haven't got a massive amount of call-ins, actually. In fact, other than Froth, who opened the show, not much to talk about on that front. However, very kind of you to call in, Froth. Glad you're enjoying the map discussion. I kind of thought you would. I know you're real into your maps. And yeah, definitely we can all agree to disagree on the matter of hexes and grids, etc. I'm divided myself. Conflicted Colin, I call myself. And this matter is no different. I do understand the hex thing. I like the idea of exploring the grid thing a bit more. And for me, it's just, I never like to just accept things the way they are. I've always got to kind of mix things up a little bit and try things and kind of have to find out for myself what I like. And I think this is an interesting thing. A lot of the time, I don't really know what I like, and I don't think I'm alone in that. Somebody was talking on one of the podcasts I listened to about this concept of if you ask somebody who, says they like coffee, and when they're asked, what sort of blend do you like, they go for this sort of, they sort of say they like this rich, dark blend or something. And then in taste tests, it turns out that the reality is people like something a lot milder. And I think, as a concept, that's something that kind of goes on with RPGs. And I think I've been caught like that myself. I like perhaps to read and see some of the more zanier and a bit more gonzo stuff that our man Jason Hobbs would probably call like the art house. And sort of, I'll give an example. Say something like Troika. That's kind of quite, I would say, arty. And maybe like Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It's kind of got that a little bit edgy, kind of quite likely to offend, and that sort of thing. And then those ideas, they grab my attention, but at the table, well, do they even get to the table? Or am I one of these people that I use these sort of, should we say, a little bit more fringe or zanier or gonzo ideas, and then when they actually kind of distill down, it sort of gets toned down. And a lot of our best games have actually just been, maybe just fighting goblins or just fighting off yet another orc grade. We've still had fun. And so it's just a long way of saying I often don't even know what I like myself. So the last thing I'm going to do is really be dispensing advice and telling people what they should think, because it's not going to happen anyway. Here, what's your game? So not only am I conflicted about maps, seemingly I'm conflicted about my flavour of D&D. I've been back looking at the 5e rules. Long story short, I've mentioned it that I was going to do it. Last few days I've been looking over the 5e DMG and the basic rules that I've printed off. It's a free download from Wizards of the Coast. It's got like 4 sections. It's kind of players section, DM section. No, that's not right. And take 2. So there we go. I've gone and got the rules off the shelf. So part 1 is creating a character. Part 2 is playing the game. Part 3 is the rules of magic. And then part 4 is Dungeon Master's tools. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty impressed with this. It's a tidy little package. It cuts out quite a bit of waffle. It gets to the chase. You've got 4 basic classes: cleric, fighter, rogue, wizard. You've got 4 basic races: dwarf, elf, halfling, human. And then pretty much as you'd expect, a lot of the optional rules and twiddly bits are taken out, and I think they've made a really good job with this, and for free. I mean, it's amazing. It's a 180-page document, and you could play for, well, you could play forever with this, really. I think, I can't remember if it tells you, it gives you guidance on making monsters and stuff like that, but man, you know, if you're at all curious about 5e, I would totally check this out. But I digress. I'm conflicted because it's basically not in my nature to kind of go with the masses. I don't know if it's the sort of like the artistic or creative streak makes me a little bit rebellious, or maybe having grown up with the old BX and Redbox Basic, I'm just an old kind of grognard and I'm resistant to change. I don't think it's that, because generally I'm not that resistant to change. So I don't know what it is that holds me back from 5e. I've played it a lot. I've played it over 100 sessions running over the course of a couple of years, and the experience was generally good. I think the only times I might have had a sort of less than great session was sort of nothing to do with the system, or I was just trying to kind of tinker with rules and I felt something I was trying had gone flat. Probably if I'd have took something like these basic rules and just run them pretty much rules as written, I reckon I'd have kind of been better off. And it's led me to thinking, I don't actually truthfully know why I'm trying to kind of OSR up my 5e. I don't actually think there's anything wrong with it. I play it, I enjoy it. Why am I messing with it? It's the old, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Admittedly, there's quite a lot of rules there. In terms, where I really struggle is with spells and a constant stream of multiple character classes and subclasses and stuff like that. That really kind of gets to make my head hurt, because if you're going to have them in the game, I feel like, you know, the characters don't want to be the only example of those things. So if you've got Dragonborn or Tieflings in your party, it seems a bit weird if they don't exist in the world at large. Obviously, you could come up with reasons to justify it, one thing and another, but for the verisimilitude of your campaign, I think, you know, you got to have them represented throughout the world. And that then puts the onus on a person running the game to understand the ins and outs of that class. So, you know, maybe what we're talking about here is a learning curve, and I just need to make my peace with it and do my due diligence. Talking of doing my due diligence, I picked up the 5e DMG book. When I say picked up, I mean picked it up off the shelf. I had it since I started running, but I reckon I must have read it with my eyes shut, because there is so much in there that I don't recall reading, seeing, or anything else. I think maybe I was in a little bit of a frenzy to get the game running and get started, and in my eagerness concentrated on the player's handbook, or the book that came with the starter rules, have it already knowing how to play D&D, or so I thought. I just kind of launched off in my own version of what I understood to be 5e, and we just had fun with that. But now, looking back, I realise, no, I wasn't really doing it justice. I didn't really give the DMG a fair crack at the whip. And it's only through listening to like other anchorites and podcasts talking about, funnily enough, the first edition DMG, and singing its praises up the wazoo, how it's their like favourite book of all time and they really love it. I thought to myself, well, I don't own that book, but I do own the 5th edition one. Now, can it be super different? Maybe, but knowing what I know about 5e, there's probably quite a few kind of callbacks, and a similar ethos has gone into the preparation of the DMG as it did with the first edition. So, you know, the AD&D DMG. So, lo and behold, what do I find? Lots and lots of random tables, stuff to help you make this, stuff to help you make that, preparing your wilderness adventure, preparing your dungeon adventure, preparing your dungeon, random dungeons, creating NPCs, creating monsters, creating settlements, creating the world, all the stuff that, you know, traditionally you'd find in a DMG. But there you go, I never actually really had your proper like hardcore AD&D DMG, so I didn't fully appreciate what that meant. Well, the scales have fallen from my eyes, folks, and I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with that 5e DMG. I should not have listened to the naysayers, and man, I'm going to give it a good try now and look at it with some fresh eyes and see what I can make of it. I've already done some NPCs and come up with some adventures using the random tables and everything. And yeah, I'm going to put aside a couple of my old favourites like my Maze Rats and my new Big Dragon stuff. Going to put that a little to one side, and I'm going to give this 5e a better crack of the whip. And my voice is failing me. I'm going to close it out there because, yeah, I think I've said what I need to say. But what I would be interested in is anybody else kind of experienced this sort of similar thinking, you know, not wanting to follow 5e just because it's the new thing, and you know, kind of reacting against it perhaps a little bit unfairly, or just kind of being a grognard about it. You know, I suspect there's a bit of that goes on, and yeah, man, like Froth says, let's have a discussion. You know, what's up with 5e? You know, are we giving it a fair crack at the whip, or have we just got a bit scared, or is our old man brain kind of feeling the strain a little bit of the spells and the classes, and maybe we need to just dig in a little bit more or ask a bit more from our players to learn the character classes for themselves, stuff like that. I'll be interested to hear what you've got to say, guys, and yeah, let's get a discussion on this going.
By the light of the stars, I was hunting again for a mean old troll in a third-level den. I'd been lucky so far, this was old school rules. I should have been cautious, should have used my tools. The path was leafy and the way was dim. The DM cracked a smile, but I ignored him. And then I fell into a spike pit.